Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a early morning edition of Talking Away the Taboo. I am here today because we are going to be speaking with Chani Melamed. Chani is just an absolutely wonderful, inspiring person. We've had a number of conversations with her over the years, and I'm excited to share with you her story today. Chani told me a few months ago, I'm going to grab her, but Chani told me a few months ago that she had a little baby girl, and I when she mentioned it to me, I couldn't stop crying and laughing and crying all at the same time. Chani and her husband have been married for 14 years, and so this pregnancy was so waited for and so wanted. Let me grab her now. In Denver. So we're always dealing with some time changes, but today she actually is in, let me see her face. There she is.
Sorry, just making a makeshift table situation.
Yes, makeshift table situation. All good, all good. She is in the Holy Land. She is in Israel, which is why we are having this very special, incredible morning edition of Talking Away the Taboo. Say hi, Chani.
Hi! So excited to see you.
Look, I mean, I like it's my biggest treat, but okay, let's like let me try to form words. I think that might be the first thing to do. Chani, tell people where you are right at this moment. I mean, yes, we know you're in Israel, but tell people, give people the end of the story, and then we'll go back and we'll do some bits and pieces. Because as a reminder to everyone in the audience, Chani and I last spoke, and you can go back in the podcast. We'll link them later on. Chani and I last spoke right around Mother's Day. And the entire episode was about how she is still wanting and hoping to be a mother. Then Dave, her husband, and I spoke around Father's Day, and Dave spoke about the challenges of dealing with infertility for 14 years. He shared different stories that really helped him and different things that were more painful. And it was both of your episodes were some of our most popular episodes of the last year, because people really appreciated the rawness and vulnerability of what you shared, having been in the fertility space for a long time. But now, tell people where you are.
Now we have our beautiful, amazing, precious, beautiful little girl, Yael Sarah, and all I was preggo by those lives, but everything was still true during those lives. Completely, there was nothing that I was like, a friend of mine even asked me, like, does it feel weird, like you're preggo now and doing these lives? I'm like, totally not. I don't have a baby yet.
Right.
I am preggo, which is amazing, but I didn't have my baby, and until I had my baby, until I was holding her, nothing mentally like really changed. And maybe that sounds crazy, but until she was in my hands, it was not real.
Okay. First of all, yes, I'm like, for those of you who can't see me and you're just listening right now, I'm just nodding and nodding and nodding, because I'm so much relating to that. Many of you know that I had many pregnancy losses before I ended up having twins, and during that pregnancy with my twins, it's still like nothing changed. I was petrified every single second that I was going to lose them. So I didn't feel like I won. I didn't feel like I was at the end, literally. So the words that are coming out of your mouth right now, until she was in your arms, I felt exactly the same way. Exactly the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back. Like, I'd love to hear, like, from the beginning, like what can you share now that, first of all, how old is Yael?
She is 5
Oh my
months from
gosh.
2 days ago.
Oh my
On this
goodness. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Um, so how can you go back and share as much as you're able to? Again, we want to really respect your privacy. How much can you tell us about your fertility journey? Maybe a little bit more, a little bit in a different way now that you have Yael. And like, I'm specifically curious about whether you were, if you're willing to share, whether you were ever pregnant before, whether this was the first time you were pregnant, what that like moment of getting pregnant was like, and just the early months of that. Tell us a little bit about the beginning, the journey in the beginning.
Okay. So I was never pregnant before. Not close. I don't even know what that would mean, but totally not.
I'll just say, someone said to me one thing, like, you're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. There's no like almost pregnant. I could have been pregnant. I must have been pregnant. I'm a little bit pregnant. You either are or you're not.
Yeah, exactly. Nowhere near. Not. Yeah, never. So okay, let's see. So we were married for like, let's say, a year or so. Nothing's doing. Go to, like, my regular doctor. Not even any testing. Nothing. Starts putting me on like Clomid for no reason, which was, now knowing stuff, and I was like, why was I even put on that? I don't have nothing to do with anything. But anyways, people, do your research and don't, get tested and go to proper doctors. um anyways, I was in touch with organizations, found a reproductive endocrinologist. We get tested, we do different things. We were initially told one thing, then we had a lab that told us something else, which gave us a lot more hope with certain things, and then did more testing and more testing, and everybody kind of just chucked that initial lab result to lab error. And for a lot of years, kind of did nothing because there was nothing really to do. And that's where we were for a long time. And I always knew I was gonna have a baby. I don't know how I was gonna have that baby. I might have had to steal a baby, but but like, I always knew I was having a baby, whether it was coming out of my body or it was coming from someplace else. If we were gonna adopt a baby, I knew I was having a baby. And anyways, we did venture in that field for a little bit.
Meaning going down the adoption route.
Yeah, totally. Like, we even met a baby in Colorado.
Wow.
Met grandparents. We met the mother. It's
Wow.
Side note, which also, just to put this out there, when people, like, if anybody ever says to anybody, like, if anybody thinks to say, like, why don't you just adopt, as if it's like you put in a form and boom, you adopt a baby, and it's like, it's like, could be the most torturous, heart-wrenching thing to go through that route and like almost have a baby, never get the baby. Like, there's so many things that's like, it could be harder than going, I mean, I don't know, I shouldn't compare anything, but it's just as hard as going through fertility treatments. One's more physical, one's more mental. Like, it's just both as hard, and it kills me when people, like, I see people post or ask questions on Instagram like, oh, would you consider adopting, or why don't you just adopt? There's no such thing as just adopt. So this was many, many years ago, where there was this baby that literally fell into our lap.
Wow.
And it just completely fell through. Anyways,
Hold on, before
sorry.
before you move forward for a second, I just want to say, we had a conversation here yesterday with Shira Collings, who is our one of our support group leaders, and she also mentioned how at one point she and her husband were considering adoption and going down, and they went like decently down that route, whatever, and also decided to put it aside because it was so like hard, that there were so many layers to it, and people, and she said exactly the same thing. People just don't know when they say these things like just that they also decided to put that aside and not pursue it because it was so difficult. So I just
Yeah.
want to validate that. Literally a conversation less than 24 hours ago.
Wow, that's so crazy. And we even like spoke to a lawyer. There's like so much that goes in, that's involved with adopting, and it like really just upsets me when people say that on here and anywhere, in general. Yeah, because people obviously have asked me that straight up, like,
Yeah.
and it's just not cool to say.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So
okay,
PSA
sorry.
to all of you out there, no matter what is going on with someone, don't ever say, why don't you just adopt?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
PSA. All right.
yeah.
Okay.
So, and there was definitely times throughout our journey where, like, the one or two things that we were able to do, maybe I didn't want to do at the time, or I would be like, yeah, let's move forward with whatever it is we can do. But then I'd be like, one step forward, two steps back. That's like a lot of times, like with a lot of different things in the fertility world, it's there's just hard decisions to make, and nothing is easy. And a lot of times when people are like, oh, it was such a miracle, it was such a miracle, I think it's not just like the medical miracle. All babies are miracles, but some in the fertility world of doing medical stuff to have a baby, like just the mental decision making, and the mental, like the whole, besides for the physical things of going through the treatments, but also mental anguish and mental decision, everything. It's a miracle getting through and being like a normal human being, and even just being able to get through sometimes your own self, and just getting just being able to do that is a miracle. So anyways, yeah, I want to say that, and something people often don't say, and I really just want to stress this: anytime somebody hasn't had a kid for many, many years, and they say it's a miracle, it's a miracle. And I think people um, um, don't often acknowledge that, like, yeah, it's a miracle, but like there's a lot of, it's for sure 99% of the time a medical something or other that happened. There wasn't like so, like, they went to sleep one day and boom, they got preggo. And I feel that's important to say, because I just think sometimes it's not said, and people are hoping for some like real magic miracle situation, but more often than that, that's not the case. And I just want people to know that it's most people are doing, it's all, it's medical stuff that are miracles, but people aren't coming out and saying it, and I just think it should be said.
Look, I deeply appreciate the point that you're making. Like, I think for everyone out there, there is an idea, especially in I think in Judaism, there is this idea about, putting in your work, like putting in the hishtadlus, the work in order to like create a vessel, so to speak, for a miracle, that you know yes, there are just there are things we know about them from Tanakh, from the Torah. We see them also in our own lives at different points. Like the fact that, we wake up every day and the sun is shining is a miracle. However, there is also the capacity that we need to do what we need to do down here on this earth in order to be able to allow the miracle to happen. It doesn't just poof.
Yeah.
Um, so I love that. I deeply appreciate it.
Uh,
Okay. So tell us, bring us up to the point where you were doing this last thing, whatever it was, and like, did you think that this might be the thing that might get you pregnant? Did the pregnancy come kind of like totally out of the blue, like you were already like emotionally prepared for it to fail? Like, I'm curious about your mindset about sort of like when this happened.
oh, I had full faith it was completely gonna go and work and be amazing. And that was for sure a complete miracle that we did this one time and it worked and it was great. Like people go through treatments and do dozens of them until and sometimes never works and sometimes they have to do so many and we did it once and boom, great. But I don't know, I had really full faith, but when you know part of me regrets that we did like the blood work with a doctor and I didn't wait and do like a pregnancy test and did like some cute like thingy with Dave or whatever. um but the doctor's office called and so she's like, oh, how are you? And I'm like, I don't know, you tell me.
Right.
And and so I don't know exactly how she said it, whatever. She guess she said you're pregnant or expecting, whatever. And I started bawling my face off. And so like I'm here, Dave's like right next to me, and I just like fall behind him, bawling my face off basically. And I don't know, the nurse or whoever it was that was calling was saying stuff. I don't know what she was saying because I didn't actually hear it. And I heard Dave asking some sort of questions, but yeah, I was just bawling my face off.
Was he was in like the like question mode, like he wasn't bawling at that point, and
No,
he was just like,
I couldn't understand. I'm like, what the heck? Why are you
right.
like normal? Like I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, it was very funny. I don't know. But yeah, bowling my face off and very excited, but like right away, completely like freaked out. Like, okay, like what should I be doing? Not be doing like and it was a Friday. It was like right before Shabbos, and I'm like, okay, no wine, get the grape juice. Like I'm just like, yeah, and that was like the start of it.
And how, like, talk to me about the early pregnancy. Like, talk to me about who you shared it with, when you shared, what you felt comfortable sharing, how your pregnancy was. Like, talk to me about those few months.
Yeah, sure. So, I didn't share with anybody until I'm trying to think what it was, maybe like 12 weeks, 14 weeks, whatever whatever it is when somebody told me that that's when people start telling people.
Not even your parents.
Nobody. And oh, maybe I'm trying to think. Oh no, it could be I have one friend who's a midwife, and it could be I spoke with her a little bit before then, but otherwise no one. But then right like at that point, they wanted to tell some. I wanted to tell some friends that I knew like I needed to have that support for myself, but he felt that if any family found out that we told some friends that maybe some family wouldn't be happy that they didn't hear first.
Yep.
So before we told like our very close friends, we told the family. And so
And
by
what?
that
Yeah. And
yeah,
and, and what? Go
oh
ahead. Go ahead.
the vast majority of them were like, and we did it everybody through Zoom because we wanted to see everybody's reaction. So the vast majority either like started bawling their face off, which was very sweet, or like they were in shock, like they had no reaction. And I'm like, well, did you hear me? Like, I don't, it was like, do you understand? But it was like, it was very sweet. And then, or like my mother, like in-laws who live in Denver, we told them in real life, and I with some people I just made up. I had like the sonogram picture, and I was like, oh, we found this thing, and we just want to show you, and so we would like hold up the picture, and we shared the same thing to my mother. It was very sweet. It was very cute. And yeah, everybody really, like, even like my brothers, who I never in a bajillion kabillion years of all the people in the world I wouldn't think would be so emotional, like bawling. Wow. Really, really nice. And yeah, it was all, everybody had really nice, sweet reactions. And then I told like 2 or 3 close friends who were amazing, and were like, anytime like anything would come up, or my questions, or you know, because like I never did this, even though even now, then and now, I feel like I'm a bajillion years old. I should know these things because because I'm a bajillion, but I never went through this. So why should I know how to do this? But yeah, and I still now I'm like, shouldn't I be smarter? Because like little, like a 19-year-old, 18-year-olds have babies, or younger or whatever, and I'm like, shouldn't I know how to do this if they could do it? But so yeah, I'm constantly asking friends, and I had a lot of friend support and family support, and it was great. So, but I basically lived under a rock. I barely left my house. My pregnancy.
Why?
Oh, I was petrified. I was very, very nervous. And I didn't if something happened, I didn't want to have people ask me questions later on, or like, well, what happened, or like, is there a mouth tub, or like, if God forbid something happened. I had that fear of the reactions afterwards. And so yeah, I was very paranoid and nervous, or maybe not whatever. I was very scared. So I barely left my house. And there was a point where, like, when I was like super big, and like my feet became triple the size of what they were, and I could just not physically walk. It was crazy. But yeah, I was very, very nervous, and I'm not a massive like ayin hara, evil eye person, but I still have that in me, and so I was nervous about that, even though I don't think I should have been, but I was. And so, and then, but people found out, and once they did, it was even worse, because people would, like, randomly, I'd be in the supermarket and somebody would like come over and give me a hug, and I'm like, what? I didn't even know I could have. I wasn't shopping initially because I figured, because maybe you haven't seen me in a long time, like, oh hi, so nice to see you,
Right.
And just giving me a hug. Well, but that was not the case. And it was just, I found it very awkward, like, just treat me like regular, like normal, and I feel like people weren't like doing that, and it was very hard for me. I wanted people to just be regular with me and normal, and not even like acknowledge it, because I never, ever, and I don't think anybody ever should acknowledge anybody's possible pregnancy. Somebody could look very preggo, and until you see that baby, that is just a big belly. Like, it doesn't matter. Nobody should ever say anything, because you just never know.
Right.
People have misses, people have losses, people have whatever it is, or people just get bigger for whatever reason they get bigger.
Yep.
And so nobody should ever acknowledge it. And it just would just make me very awkward and uncomfortable. Um, and I just could, and it just, because I'm so sensitive to that fact, I couldn't understand how people like are even saying anything. So, and I understand that maybe I'm more sensitive because I'm in this world, but it just like goes over people's heads and they just can't have. But I'm hoping, like, what I love about your page is that educating people and then putting it out there that this is really how people should act, and keep just being normal and not acknowledging somebody's stomach, because you just never know why that stomach looks how it does.
I I
Uh,
I love I love that you're saying this. And we yes, we do, we talk about this concept a lot, like bodies change. Period. That is just a fact of life. Bodies change whether you're expecting or not expecting. And that acknowledging whether someone has gained weight, lost weight, like is carrying their weight differently, is just something that really should be off the table, because it doesn't matter about what someone's body looks like. It matters about the person, and you want to connect to the person, not about, oh my gosh, you got so skinny, or oh my gosh, like what's going, like, and in regard, specifically in regard to pregnancy, like it's exactly as you just said. Like, you don't know the trauma that people are carrying in regard to pregnancy. And sometimes people are more comfortable sharing about their pregnancy, sometimes people are not comfortable. But to go up to someone and make the assumptions like, oh, like I'm motioning here with my hands, like, oh, when are you due, and like patting people's stomachs, like it's just not appropriate. And I'll also just say for myself, as a person who was very visibly pregnant after loss, and for you, it was very visibly pregnant after infertility. When people would comment on my pregnancy, if I had to go out, I also was very much a hermit. Um, I like totally would evade the question. They'd be like, "When are you due?" And I'd be like, well, when the baby is ready. Like I just like couldn't even have the conversation. It was just not possible.
Yeah, I mean, most people didn't even know, like, unless they had heard, if they saw me, they had no clue. I hid it very well. If I was out, like, I wore, not that I ever wore super fitted clothing in general, but I wore even a baggier clothing, just to, or like I would close my coat or whatever it was, because I didn't want it to be like a conversation. Um, and most people were pretty great and awesome about it. But some weren't, and it is what it is. But it shouldn't be how it is, and hopefully people will, you know, learn, person by person,
Person by
slowly but surely.
person.
Yeah.
Person by person. Okay. Did you find out the gender? Did you want to what did you find out? Did you want to find out? Like what piece of that was important or not important for you?
So maybe there was like a tiny part of me that was just curious, but really I couldn't have cared less. So I didn't find out. There was a point that I think we asked the Shiloh, we asked the rabbi, like, if we should find out. Um, and I mean, he suggested we didn't, but the truth is, I wasn't planning to anyways, because it made no difference to me. I had bought a dress just in case I needed to go to a bris, and thank God I didn't, because I don't know how people do it. I really, if I had to leave my house after 8 days, I, I really have no clue how people do it. Call kavod to all you boy moms. But, um, uh, yeah, no, it wasn't. And then the truth is, I couldn't even understand why so many people told me that they found out the gender, and I was like, why? Only because I wouldn't have bought anything in advance,
Right.
and so it just didn't matter. It made no like, I don't know. Well, that it didn't mean anything to me, so I didn't find out.
And how did you decide on names? Because like you didn't know the gender, so I'm assuming that you had to prepare two names.
Right.
How was that decision made?
Um, so the only added benefit, had it been a boy, is that we had a boy's name easier, more confident about which boy's name we were going to do versus a girl's name. And for me, I had one requirement with a girl's name, is that it couldn't have a CH or like a chas. I mean, it could be that, I'm traumatized having a CH in my name. And it is just the most annoying thing with the Connie, Chani, Chani. Like, it's just annoying. Like, and then people like, so am I pronouncing it right? I'm like, yes, you're perfect.
Exactly.
Like, no, how do I pronounce? You're whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so that was my initial thing. And it happens to be, this is crazy, Dave and I are not related, but besides for marriage,
Yeah.
both our grandmothers have the same name, Sarah Rivka.
Wow.
Both our father's mothers are Sarah Rivka. Even crazier, my father is Yaakov, his father is Shlomo Yaakov.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So and his grandmother passed away like a year ago or so. But I didn't love Sarah Rivka for multiple reasons. But we wanted something of Sarah Rivka for his grandmother, my grandmother, and so we came up with Yael for two reasons. Yael, I wanted like a strong woman figure from Torah. Like I specifically, there was a part that I wanted something related to like hope, or like something related to like waiting, or like Hashem, or like something, but like we ended up kind of nixing that idea initially, with some guidance and whatever. But I just wanted like a strong woman. And Yael from Torah, who, saved the Jewish people by, killing
Yep.
Sisera. And the mommy brain is real. Let me tell you, that myth is not a myth; it's real.
It
Okay.
is so real. It is so real.
Yeah. So, and then Dave was looking up things about Yael, and it turns out that our Imaho, Sarah, Rivka, Rachalea, the four mothers, Yael, like represents all of them, or has all their characteristics, or something like this,
Oh,
something like
wow.
really cool. Yeah. And so we're like, okay, great. It has Rivka's in there too. I mean, Sarah, Rivka, whatever,
Right.
both names are in there. And so we did. That's why we did. So we have Yael Sarah from that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Um, can you share a little bit about what parenting is like now after infertility? I mean, a lot of people, there is so much that, there is the anticipation of, will I get pregnant? When will I get pregnant? How will that baby come? When will that baby come? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the aftermath. Like, there's the now. She's 5 months old, but in the beginning, like I hear different things about people's experiences in regard to parenting after infertility. I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about it.
Sure. Well, I don't know what parenting before infertility
Yeah.
would be like, so I have nothing to compare it to. Um, um, I'd say that, um, let's see. I mean, it's petrifying every day. I mean, honestly, I never want to do the wrong thing. Like, we waited all this time. She's, this precious diamond to us, and you would never want to break your diamond or lose your diamond, and so even more so like your baby. And I do think though that, like, with the only benefit of dealing with infertility for a bunch of years is that, like, I feel like I'm older and wiser just in general as a person. So I feel that possibly if I was, let's say, somebody who's 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever, a young person having a baby just doesn't have the same world experience as somebody who's just older. But I feel like every day, like, my job is just like keeping her alive. My goal is keeping her alive. And just doing the best possible, like, things for, like, that I do. Like, I'm just exclusively like nursing her, which is just for me what I feel is best. And so I think about what I'm eating, because I'm nourishing her. So when it comes to anything that would come up to try and keep her safe and kind of keep her well, like, I'm just probably maybe extra cautious or extra careful, extra researching things that maybe somebody younger, somebody who hasn't gone through fertility stuff might not do, or maybe they would do, because, like, I mean, it's still your baby, which shouldn't matter. I don't think. I mean, if you're waited 14 years or 2 years, or, they just plopped out at the chuppah baby,
Right.
But I think that everybody would be the same, but maybe, I don't, it could be wrong.
Right. Look, I mean, I think the question was a little bit unfair in the sense of this is your baby now. You it can't compare what it would have been like if you would have had a baby at a different time. So this is who you are now. But there is, there are those who say that parenting after infertility, or even parenting after loss, can take on this extra added anxiety or stress comparatively, because, like, this, after all this time, you finally have it, and as you said, like, this is your diamond, and you don't want to lose it, and you want to make sure that you're treating it right, and you're doing the right things. Whereas people who may have more kids, or people who may have children younger and don't think about things like over and over again, and haven't waited so long, they might treat it a little bit more sort of like, okay, it's fine, whatever it is, it's fine. Whereas every moment is precious with this baby.
Yeah. Oh, so I don't know if I'm anxious because of the fertility stuff, or because it's just baby number one. you know like, I haven't we're staying with my sister and brother-in-law, who also came to Israel, and they have three kids, and the youngest is like crawling on the floor, but I'm not putting Yael on the floor, because, like, it's just too dirty for me. But, like, it's her third kid, so it's fine. Do you know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
So I think, and she's probably doing the right thing, and it's fine. But, like,
And you're also
right,
doing the right
right,
thing.
right. So I don't know if it could be my anxiety completely is about fertility stuff. Well, sure, we'll go with that.
I, it doesn't matter. It was more just the idea to put out there for people that there is a difference between parenting a quote regular child. I can't believe I just said that, but I said it. As opposed to a child that you've waited and longed for. We're just putting it out there.
Well, literally,
But on that note, yeah, go ahead.
sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, I do think, like, literally every day, what I think about is keeping this kid alive, and I don't know that could be like a fertility thing. Like, I don't know if that's what, you know, um, maybe we'll just go with the regular for now that you're saying,
Right.
but thinks about, because, like, it's been so long, and that's for sure an anxiety of mine, like, keeping this video. And I shouldn't be, like, as anxious as I am, but I am, for sure, not even a question.
And you're allowed. You're allowed.
Okay.
It's all good. But as we're like winding down here, my question, and I think so many people's question, is how, looking back now, you are here at this moment. Your daughter is 5 months old, and it's been a long time that you've waited and longed and hoped and dreamed. You have you and we had conversations even before around Mother's Day when you were already pregnant, but we had other conversations about hope, about thoughts, about keeping that piece of you alive. Can you share your thoughts and advice for people who are in it for the long haul, who their dreams haven't been realized yet? Um, and the reality is nobody knows what the future holds. Like they don't. Nobody knows whether they're actually going to end up with a baby in their arms or not. But your thoughts, advice for people who are in this and still waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. I always, nothing, it never ever left my mind that I wouldn't have a baby. There was no question in my mind that I would have a baby. But also, I generally did everything in our power. We did everything in our power to have a baby. Even when like we weren't really doing anything, because we really couldn't do anything, but anytime we could, we were. And we were also very realistic that if we and I'm saying realistic for us, and maybe it's not somebody else's journey, or it's even realistic for them, and with the adoption aspect of it, but we definitely were open to anything because we felt we wanted a baby, and however Hashem decided we were going to have a baby, that was still going to be our baby. And it was never a thought. And I would always, anytime I prayed or davened, it wasn't that Hashem, please get me pregnant. It was like, God, I want, like, give me a baby. However that baby came, that's how we would have a baby. It's just something that it was never, again, I knew I was having a baby. It was not a thought that I was not having a baby. Somebody, like, it's not like, oh, if I have a baby, when people say that, it was not an
Yeah.
if. When. It was never out of my mind that it wouldn't happen. And I wasn't the type that would like buy stuff. I know there are people who do that great, the schoolas, and because whatever works for you. But the mindset is just as strong, and the manifestation, people who do the manifesting, I completely believe in things like this. But also it is so completely out of our control. Having a baby is like 100%, in my opinion, God. Like doing medical things, God. Adopting, God, but you have to be the vessel for the God, for Hashem to give you that baby. So you have to do the work, however that manifests in your life for it. But constantly believing that it will happen is, for me, was very important, and never losing that hope. And that's how I felt. For me, I still feel like I kind of think this is important to say, just as like a very realistic thing that I want to say. We have our baby, and I see somebody who's pregnant, and it still hurts, as that crazy as that might
It's not
sound, because
crazy. It's not crazy.
sometimes I think I'm crazy. I'm like, I have this baby, and I see somebody pregnant, and I'm like, what? Like, I can't even explain my mindset. But I just want to put that out there for the like the secondary infertility people, and people who think that secondary infertility is maybe not as important. I get it more now than ever. But regarding the previous question of the hope thing, just never giving up. Never we see miracles every day, every day, even the regular natural thing of the sun coming up, like you said. And we just want, the miracles to really be nature. Because that's like somebody who has a baby, after 9 months, just as miraculous, because we just think that's like the natural way of things. But really, that's the miracle. So we need all our miracles to just be nature. But God could do anything. And this is all on him. Just keep praying, keep doing, keep going to the doctors, keep going, doing whatever you have to do. And sometimes we just don't get the yes now, but maybe we get the yes later. Or sometimes the yes looks like a different yes than we thought we would get. And maybe that, is a foster adoption, and if it doesn't look like that, then, it doesn't, but you just keep trying, but just constantly believing. Don't give up hope. Never, for anything you ever want. God could do anything. And I'm here to tell the tale. And Yael's just the most amazing, incredible thing in my life. And it's, I feel like I'll start bawling my eyes out if I, but just keep the faith, my friends. And again, it might not happen today or tomorrow, but please God, it will happen. So please don't stop believing or hoping, and keep doing what you got to do. And and just keep doing it, because the people who I do feel like there's people who think like, I'm going to wait for a miracle. And it's just going to like somehow plop into my lap. And maybe sometimes it does, but most times it doesn't. And you really have to do the work, and you have to, whatever that looks like, please do it. And don't just rely on the quote unquote miracle of the like bolt of lightning,
Yes. And how can we right now, as a community, and as your friends and your family, like in general, like how can people support you now? Like are people saying callous things now? Are there things that you want to, like, remind each of us out there who, who literally visibly, like, see miracles? You are a miracle. Yael is a miracle. Who have we see these miracles in our lives? What is your advice for the rest of us? How can we support you now?
So yeah, people still say the craziest things, like still like so like, oh, about a next pregnancy, about another baby, and I'm like, she just came, like, calm down. Like, I mean, literally it was like 2 days later somebody said
Oh my
something
gosh.
about that, and I'm like, I could not believe it.
Oh my gosh.
It just literally boggles my mind. But yeah, I mean, I think people just educating themselves and trying to do their best by not saying the stupid things to people, because it's just everybody knows their situation, and nobody wants to be reminded, and you just putting it into their face. And it's just so easy not to do it. It's so easy. Like, there's no reason you have to like ask the questions or say like, did you try this doctor? Did you try that doctor? Or what school do your kids go to? You don't have to like, oh, we don't have any kids, and then you feel like the idiot. So, I mean, there's just so many things, and it's just so easy to not dig your own grave and make them feel like they're in a grave, and I guess that's it. I mean, and supporting you guys, supporting us was at Vivi. They have a Hanukkah campaign now, so just give the money.
Okay. Hold on. No. That's not that wasn't part of the
No,
script.
I know.
Stop.
I know. I'm just. I knew that or anything. You could nix it from the podcast.
Okay, we'll nix it later. Yes, we are doing a Hanukkah campaign, but that's neither here nor there
I
right
mean,
now.
you wanted it. No,
I
you asked, how can you help? And by having your organization help me and helps many other people. So I'm just being honest. And I've been part of support groups, your organization, other people's organizations, and they are so helpful. And that's what the money's for. So I'm just being honest and saying, answering the question. You didn't ask. I'm just saying, nobody asked me. Nobody told me to say that. I'm just saying it. Nobody has to listen to me. Nobody listens to me anyways. It's fine. But I'm always right, everybody. I'm always right. People should listen to me.
someone's just saying here after she popped home from being in a hospital for a week after her stillbirth, her neighbor said to her, um, you walked into your house empty-handed. Like, like I think I I think, the point being that what Chani is saying, and so much of what we do here at I Was Supposed to Have a Baby, is just the education, reminding people to think for a second before they speak, that it is hard. It is definitely hard to, like, when you're just used to like having regular conversation of like, oh, how are you? How many kids do you have? Where do your kids go to school? What are the ages of them? Like, that is typical conversation. It is hard to change your language to, so how are you? Tell me about your life. Tell me about your family. Where do you live? Where did you grow up? What kind of work do you do now? What things interest you? What are you involved in? Like, all of those questions are regular questions that just gets people to share a little bit about themselves that doesn't have a single thing to do with children. Um,
Yeah.
so if each of you out there could remind yourselves to really try to take the questions about children out of your conversations, and if people want to bring up their children, they want to share about them, then great. And they'll do that. But for you to ask specifically, you just never know what people are carrying and what experiences they've had in their lives. We're actually going to be having a conversation. The podcast drop tomorrow will be all about a woman who is a grandmother. She's in her 60s, 70s. I don't know how old exactly. I don't ask people's ages. It's also one of the things you're not supposed to ask. You're not supposed to ask people how old they are. And she talks about how she had a fertility experience when she was much, much younger. And she only has one child. And to this day, again, she's much later on in life, people still say to her, you only have one child? What do you mean you only have one child? Are you sure you how, wait, what? And so the idea that like people are still talking about this years and years and years later means that we as a community need to change our conversation. And,
Yeah. And it's
and
just so easy. It's so easy. Why make somebody's life harder? It's so hard dealing with fertility stuff, and you're just making their lives hard. It's awful, but
yes,
okay, that's why you're here.
yes, and for those of you who are meeting Connie now in person at some point, it's, oh, how old is your daughter? She's delicious. What is she up to? How are things? How is the nursing going? How is the feeding going? Is she sleeping through the night? Not, so when are you having another one? So new? So new? So, like, well, that worked. So, like, can't you just make it go again? Like, new?
Yeah,
Like, like you waited all this time. Well, you finally figured it out. So you should be popping out kids right now.
yeah.
So for all of you out there, just nothing. Zip it up. Zip it up. All right, Hani, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. You know, infertility sucks. Having a baby is amazing, but I think I had to go through that journey to get here. I think everybody's in whatever stage of life they're in. for a particular reason. I always believed that I was going through that to, I thought part of my my work in this world was educating and helping people not say the stupid things and doing my little part, you know, for the cloud, for the
Community.
community. Um, and um, I think that even now at this stage, it's still hard, and it's probably always. I don't think it leaves you that infertility feeling that. But you take it. I'm hoping that like I have that and just using it for the good and trying to raise this amazing kid as best I could, and so she could be, you know, somebody who can be um, beneficial for the community, for the world, for that she is bigger and better than me or Dave combined, and you know, could bring some greatness to this world. And I hope that that's, you know, now my next tafkid job in this world, to raise her to just be a great person, you know, the best that she's meant to be. And that's where we are today. But yeah.
And I'm so grateful to you. Look, it's not easy to talk about pain when you're in it, and to have and to hold on to that hope. And that was something that you did. And we spoke a number of times over the last number of years. And you were always this person who gave that hope. You said it was in your heart, but you imparted that hope for others and really gave people hope and chizuk, that strength that they would be able to also go through this and come out the other side, whatever the other side was. And here you are today, through a combination, as you said, of medicine and miracles, like putting both of those together, and to still talk about it and talk about the journey and to give hope and light to people so that they too can move forward in their lives and hold on to that hope. And I am so grateful for you and for this conversation.
My pleasure, and I just want people to not give up hope and live your life. Don't be just constantly thinking about when will I have this baby. You're gonna have the baby, but live your life to the fullest, at the same time, not just
Love it.
and yeah.
Love it.
It was so nice
Chani,
to see you.
so nice to see you too. Happy Hanukkah, everyone.
Yeah,
Enjoy Israel,
will do.
and give Precious Yael a little hug for me, please.
You got it.
Bye. Good
Bye.
night, everybody. I keep saying good night. It's during the day. So have a great
Have a
day, everyone.